Hello and welcome to another video for WinBidPro version 16 by GDS Estimating. In this one I'd like to talk specifically about changing multipliers in the parts list for a specific manufacturer. So here I have a job that's opened already and it's using the TubeLight catalog. And TubeLight is one that it's important to know how this process works because when they change their pricing, there's a lot of different multipliers that need to be applied. So it's the same concept with other manufacturers, but some make it easier because there's only two multipliers, one for, say, stock lengths, one for doors and things like that, or maybe three different multipliers. But for TubeLight, they actually have quite a few. So we give you the tools to make all this possible. And you saw that I just went up and clicked catalogs and went down to parts. So that's going to give you the parts table for whatever catalog you're using in the job you're currently in. You can also go up and let's go back. We can also go to catalogs, go to available catalogs, and then go down to whichever catalog you want and go to the parts list for that specific manufacturer. So that's how you can go to the parts list for any manufacturer. But if we want to go to the one that's open currently, which is TubeLight, it shows me at the top, I can go to the catalogs and then just hit parts. So let's expand this so we have full view of the entire list. Now, in the parts list, you've got, of course, your part number, descriptions. Here we do have a multiplier column. We have length for stock lengths, for length of gasket rolls, things like that. Part types, and then, of course, all your finish prices. And then, over at the end here, we also have handling type, which is kind of how the program can reference between gasket material, which is by the roll, which we call measured. Count parts are individually counted parts like doors and screws and setting blocks and other accessories. And then there's optimized parts, which are extrusions. So those get optimized in the optimizer. But another helpful, so you could even use that handling type to help filter your list, change multipliers. But for someone like TubeLight and some of the other manufacturers, catalog code, and that's funny, that's supposed to actually say catalog code. But catalog code and catalog page are two key things that you need to know about. So for TubeLight, for example, they have certain multipliers for different catalog codes. So let's say all of their A catalog parts need a certain multiplier. So when I filtered that, sorry, let's go back to there. You'll notice when I did select a filter, I click this little funnel tool and it shows the check or the dot next to the item I selected. It changes that funnel tool blue. So that's how we know there's a current filter. If I clear the filters, then you'll notice they're all gray again. So when I go and I select something, like let's just make it a little easier and we'll say, okay, all the A and B catalog codes need a specific multiplier, right? So as soon as I select those, it's going to be filtering by those now. So you'll notice here, these are all the B's. I can click off of that list and it'll give me that. So I should see some A's in here as well if I scroll down. So there's the A's. So, and then I also see down here that there 1,807 out of the total 7,719 parts are catalog code A and B. So you want to confirm that, but also I think when we say change multipliers, it's going to give us that number again, the 1,807. So it's telling us this is what our current filtered list is, and I can just type a new multiplier in. And let's say it's like, now they're getting over 100%, so it's 1.1, let's call it. Hopefully not all of them are doing that, but some. But anyway, now we can hit save, whatever it has to be. If it's 0.8, 0.9, whatever the factor is, you just type it in there, and we'll notice when I told it to update, it's kind of going through the entire filtered list of 1,807 parts. So there's my multiplier. Now I can go and change it to a different one. So I can turn off the A and B, and I can say the C, the custom door, the entrance, let's say all those need to be a certain multiplier. And that's all I'm doing, is I'm just selecting what the codes are. And then I just go back to Tools, hit Change Multiplier, and if this needs to be 0.98 or something, then I can type it in. It's telling me there's 876 parts that will be affected. And when I hit Save, we'll notice that that's going to get changed over here. So that's basically how it works. You first want to filter your list. It could even be based on the beginnings of a part number. So for Tube Light, it used to be that a lot of their P parts had a certain multiplier. So I can go down. The problem with this, what I'm doing right now, is I'm looking at every single part number in this list. So there's way too many, because that's my entire list of parts, basically. So there's another way to do a filter. I can go to the Filter tool, and I can say down here where it says Contains, I can say Starts With, and I can say the letter P. So I'm giving it a specific starting letter for any part that starts with P. There's actually 2,323 of those. I can even change the multiplier for all those. So I can hit Change Multiplier, and I can tell it what it is. So let's say it's 0.89. So that's going to update all those parts. So the thing you don't want to do is accidentally change your entire list of 7,700 parts. So that's why we're filtering first. It still tells us there's a filter active, so I can clear the filter. I can either clear it that way, or I can clear it in down here in that list of filter items. It gives me a way to clear it. So another way to do filtering is, say, by part type. So if I want all of my door related parts to, and depending on how accurately the part type is set for whatever manufacturer you're working with, then that will also determine what parts are being selected. So if that's all the door related parts I've just selected right there, let's say there's 3,700 of them, that's pretty many. Now I can use the tools and hit Change Multiplier, and let's say it's 0.95. So I'm going to update 3,737 parts, and we'll see the 0.95 come up here. So that's basically it. All we're doing is we're saying, what parts do I want to affect with whatever multiplier, and I'm deciding how I want to filter the list to those specific parts. Whether it begins with a certain code or number for the part number, whether it's a certain part type, we could even use handling type, or we can use the catalog code, catalog page, like we did in the beginning. So, or you could even use a multiplier that's already there. We can filter it to all the 0.95 multipliers and then change those to 0.97. So there's so many different options when you have filters for every single, and you can have multiple filters. Like I can do door and begins with the letter A, like we did, starts with and put A, and then it'll have two filters to break it down or narrow it down even more. So lots of options with these filters and these grids. So I can hit either clear filter here under the specific column, or I can just hit clear filter here and it clears them all. So in a nutshell, that's how we update multipliers for parts lists in the different manufacturer catalogs. Thanks very much.